Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Unseen Depth. If you've ever felt like love is something that eludes you, something that just never seems to stick, you're not alone. The truth is, love, real love, is not about waiting for someone to sweep you off your feet. It's not about the romantic gestures or the promises made under moonlight. It's not even about someone else coming to heal you. The deepest, most powerful love begins with you. In this video, I'll show you why self-love is not only the key to unlocking deeper relationships, but also the foundation of your personal growth and transformation. The truth about love. It starts with you. Have you ever wondered why we often end up in unhealthy relationships or keep looking for love in all the wrong places? It's not just about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right person for yourself first. The kind of love you attract is a reflection of the love you have for yourself. You see, love doesn't start when you meet someone. It starts when you look in the mirror and decide to stop criticizing yourself, to stop blaming your past, and to simply accept who you are. That's the beginning of true healing. I remember meeting a woman named Sarah, who had been in and out of toxic relationships for years. She was looking for someone to make her feel complete, someone to fix her. She had spent so much time trying to be loved, but she wasn't truly loving herself. It wasn't until she started facing her fears, accepting her flaws, and working on her self-worth that she began to attract the kind of relationships that were truly fulfilling. Her journey wasn't easy, but it was incredibly rewarding. The power of shadow work. Facing your inner darkness. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, called it shadow work. It's the process of looking at those parts of yourself that you've hidden away, the anger, the jealousy, the fear, and facing them. So often, we are taught to hide our shadows, to put on a mask and pretend everything is okay. But here's the truth. Until you face your shadows, you can never be truly whole. Your shadows hold the key to your healing and self-acceptance. For me, shadow work was one of the most transformative experiences. I had to face parts of myself I had ignored or even despised, parts of my past, old wounds I thought had healed, but were still affecting my relationships. When I allowed myself to feel that pain and accepted it as part of my journey, it was like I was finally free. I could see my whole self, flaws and all, and that was when I started attracting people who truly respected me. The journey of self-love. It's not about perfection. We often think self-love means pampering ourselves, repeating affirmations, or putting ourselves first in a selfish way. But true self-love is much deeper. It's about facing your fears, your insecurities, and your vulnerabilities, and still choosing to love yourself. It's not about being perfect or flawless. It's about embracing every part of you, including the parts you've tried to hide. A good friend of mine, Mark, used to beat himself up over every mistake he made. He believed that if he wasn't perfect, he wasn't worthy of love. But when he finally realized that perfection wasn't the goal and started accepting his imperfections, his whole life changed. Not only did his self-esteem soar, but he also started attracting friends and romantic partners who accepted him for who he was, flaws and all. The key to his success wasn't perfection, but self-acceptance. The secret to attracting true love. It's about energy, not seeking. Once you start loving yourself deeply, something incredible happens. You stop begging for love. You stop seeking external validation. Instead, you begin to radiate love from within. You no longer need someone to complete you because you already feel whole. This is the secret to attracting the right kind of people into your life. When you vibrate with love and authenticity, those who resonate with that energy will naturally be drawn to you. Think about the people in your life who seem to have an endless supply of love and positivity. Have you noticed that they rarely seem to try to attract love? It's because they've done the inner work. They've created a foundation of self-love that naturally attracts others who are on the same wavelength. It's not magic, it's energy. And when you cultivate that energy within yourself, love finds you, healing through acceptance. Embracing your pain is power. Self-love is not just about feeling good all the time. It's about facing the parts of you that are painful, the parts you may have tried to ignore. Pain can be your greatest teacher if you allow it to be. When you stop running from your pain and instead choose to sit with it, to understand it, you'll discover that the pain holds valuable lessons. For years, I avoided my pain, thinking that healing meant getting over it. But true healing came when I allowed myself to feel the hurt, the disappointment, the loss, and then let it go. That's when I stopped relying on others to fill the void and started filling it from within. When you heal yourself, you no longer need to search for love to fill the emptiness. You become love. I once heard the story of a man who went through a difficult divorce. Instead of blaming his ex-wife, he took time to reflect on the relationship and himself. He went on a journey of self-discovery, and through this process, he learned to love and appreciate himself in ways he never had before. As a result, he found himself in healthier, more fulfilling relationships later on, not because he was looking for love, but because he was finally ready to receive it. The role of vulnerability in self-love. Now, let's dive deeper. Vulnerability. It's a word we often hear, but what does it truly mean in the context of self-love? Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness. We're told to guard our hearts, hide our emotions, and protect ourselves from being hurt. But vulnerability is actually one of the most powerful tools you have for healing. It's the act of being open and honest with yourself, acknowledging the parts of you that may be imperfect or messy, and still choosing to love yourself through it all. In a society where we are conditioned to appear together, vulnerability is revolutionary. It requires you to remove the armor you've been wearing and let your authentic self shine through. It's about allowing yourself to be seen, not in the way you wish to be seen, but as you truly are. This level of vulnerability is terrifying, but it is also where the deepest transformation happens. Take the story of a man named Ben. For years, Ben struggled with his self-worth. He'd push his feelings down, trying to avoid any emotional discomfort. But after hitting rock bottom, he realized that his emotional walls were keeping him from connecting with others and with himself. So, he took the brave step to let his guard down. He started journaling, speaking openly about his insecurities, and embracing his pain. Ben's vulnerability became the gateway to deeper self-acceptance. It's not that his problems disappeared overnight, but he found peace in accepting his imperfections. And that is where true self-love began. Vulnerability, when paired with self-love, allows you to accept your entire being, both the light and the shadows. It's not about becoming perfect, but about being honest with yourself, embracing all the parts you may have once thought were unworthy of love. The true magic of self-love comes when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, to admit that you don't have all the answers, and to love yourself anyway. The role of boundaries in self-love. One of the biggest misconceptions about self-love is that it means being nice and accommodating to everyone. But setting boundaries is a crucial part of self-love. It's not selfish, it's necessary for maintaining your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Boundaries protect your energy. They help you decide who and what is allowed into your life, and more importantly, who and what isn't. Learning to set healthy boundaries is one of the most empowering acts of self-love. It's a way of telling yourself that you are worthy of respect and that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. I've personally struggled with setting boundaries in the past. I used to say yes to every request, whether it was a friend asking for a favor or a colleague asking for help. But what I quickly realized was that by not setting boundaries, I was sacrificing my own happiness and peace. Once I learned to say no when necessary, my relationships became more balanced and my stress levels decreased significantly. Setting boundaries isn't, let's talk about Sarah again. As her journey of self-love continued, she realized that a big part of her struggle was her inability to say no. She constantly overextended herself for others, leading to burnout and resentment. She started practicing setting small boundaries, first with friends, then at work, and eventually with her family. Over time, these boundaries became a part of her life, and she noticed a huge improvement in her mental health and her relationships. By respecting her own limits, she was able to show up more fully for others as well. Healing through acceptance, acknowledging your past, embracing your future. Part of this self-love journey is accepting that your past does not define you. So many people hold on to their past mistakes, regrets, and pain, believing that they are intrinsically tied to who they are. But the truth is, your past is just that, the past. It doesn't define your worth or your future. There was a time when I carried the weight of my past mistakes with me, believing that I wasn't worthy of love or success because of them. I found it difficult to move forward because I was constantly looking backward. But one day, I realized that in order to heal, I had to let go of the guilt and shame I was holding on to. I began to forgive myself, not because my past was perfect, but because I deserved the freedom to move forward. Think of someone like Rachel, who had always struggled with self-acceptance due to her past. She had made some poor decisions in her younger years that she couldn't seem to shake off. But after years of self-reflection and therapy, Rachel learned that her past mistakes were not a life sentence. They were simply lessons that helped shape who she is today. Once she let go of the weight of the past, she stepped into her power and became the confident woman she had always wanted to be. This is a critical step in the healing process, accepting the past as it is, and understanding that it does not dictate your value. It only serves as the foundation upon which you can build your future. Healing through acceptance isn't about forgetting or denying the past. It's about acknowledging it and choosing to move forward without carrying the weight of it. The role of gratitude in self-love. Gratitude often gets a lot of attention in the world of personal growth, and for good reason. It's not just a feel-good practice. Gratitude is a transformative tool that can shift your mindset and enhance your self-love journey. When we're grateful for ourselves, our bodies, our minds, our strengths, and our flaws, we shift our perspective from scarcity to abundance. Instead of focusing on what's wrong or what's missing, we start to recognize all the wonderful things that already exist within us. Let's take the example of Emily, who struggled with low self-esteem for most of her life. She always focused on the areas where she felt she was lacking, whether it was her appearance, her career, or her relationships. But when Emily began practicing daily gratitude, she started to see things differently. She would wake up every morning and list 3 things she was grateful for about herself. She started with small things, like I'm grateful for my ability to listen, and I'm grateful for the strength in my hands. Over time, this practice rewired her brain to see her value, and her self-esteem blossomed. Emily found that gratitude wasn't just about appreciating the world around her. It was about deeply appreciating herself. How self-love impacts your relationships. As you begin to love yourself more fully, you'll notice a shift in your relationships. It's a subtle but powerful change. When you truly love yourself, you stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, or unhealthy dynamics. Instead, you begin to attract people who see you for who you really are and treat you with the respect and kindness you deserve. For me, one of the most surprising outcomes of practicing self-love was how it changed the relationships around me. I stopped attracting toxic friendships and started connecting with people who respected my boundaries and valued me for who I was, not what I could do for them. My friendships became more supportive and genuine, and I found myself surrounded by individuals who encouraged my growth rather than stifled it. A client of mine, Jenna, came to me feeling exhausted by her friendships. She was constantly the one giving, always putting others' needs ahead of her own, and it was draining her. We worked on her self-love practice, helping her set clear boundaries and prioritize her own needs. As she started to value herself more, her friendships began to change. The people who were only interested in taking from her slowly faded out, and those who respected her space and time began to take their place. Jenna realized that by loving herself, she was able to cultivate healthier and more fulfilling connections. The science behind self-love. Why it matters for your brain. While self-love might seem like a soft, emotional concept, there's actual science behind it. When we practice self-love, it impacts the brain in powerful ways. Research in neuroplasticity shows that our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on our thoughts, emotions, and actions. When we engage in self-compassion and love, we're literally training our brains to respond more positively to ourselves and the world around us. Studies have shown that self-compassion can reduce stress, improve mental health, and increase emotional resilience. In fact, people who practice self-love tend to have more balanced hormones, better immune function, and higher levels of happiness. The more you reinforce the idea that you are worthy and enough, the more your brain will start to believe it, creating a cycle of positive self-worth and self-acceptance. I personally experienced the benefits of this after consistently practicing self-love techniques. When I started affirming my worth, taking time to care for myself, and practicing gratitude, I felt a noticeable shift in my overall well-being. My anxiety levels dropped, my energy levels soared, and I began making healthier decisions for my body and mind. It was as if my brain was rewiring itself to expect and embrace happiness, rather than self-doubt and fear. The role of forgiveness in self-love. One of the most challenging aspects of self-love is forgiveness, particularly self-forgiveness. How many of us hold on to guilt, shame, and regret over past mistakes? We beat ourselves up for things we can never change. But forgiveness, both for ourselves and others, is a cornerstone of self-love. Without it, we're trapped in a cycle of pain and self-punishment. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning past actions or letting others off the hook for mistreating you. It means releasing the emotional burden that you carry around so you can move forward in peace. It's about acknowledging that you are human, that you make mistakes, and that these mistakes do not define your worth. Think of someone like Chris, who struggled with self-forgiveness after a painful breakup. He kept replaying the situation in his mind, blaming himself for the relationship's failure. However, when Chris began working on forgiving himself, he stopped carrying the weight of that past mistake. He realized that by continuing to hold on to that pain, he was preventing himself from growing and moving on. The moment he forgave himself, he was able to step into a healthier space, ready to build a better relationship with himself and others. I've always believed that forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing. When I started forgiving myself for past decisions I regretted, I felt lighter. I stopped punishing myself for things I couldn't change and started focusing on how I could grow from them. Self-forgiveness allowed me to break free from my past and create a future that aligned with the person I was becoming, not the person I used to be. At this point, you may be wondering, what's the final lesson from today's video? It's simple, yet profound. True self-love is the foundation for everything. It's not just about self-care rituals or repeating positive affirmations. It's about the deep, internal work of accepting every part of yourself, the light, the dark, the good, and the bad. When you practice self-love, you stop seeking love from external sources to fill a void. You stop allowing toxic relationships to drain you. Instead, you start building an unshakable sense of worth within yourself. And when you do this, your relationships, career, and overall happiness will begin to reflect this newfound energy. You will attract people who love and respect you, not because you're seeking their validation, but because you have validated yourself first. Key takeaways. 1. Self-love is not a destination, but a journey. It takes time, patience, and practice. 2. Vulnerability is your strength. Embrace your imperfections and let them shine. 3. Gratitude shifts your perspective. Start seeing the beauty in yourself, and you'll attract more of it. 4. Forgiveness is essential. Let go of past mistakes and free yourself from the weight of guilt. 5. Self-love changes your brain and body. It's not just emotional, it's physical too. And here's the most powerful takeaway. You are enough, just as you are right now. The love you've been searching for has always been within you. It's time to stop waiting for someone else to complete you. Become whole, and everything else will follow. I challenge you to take the next step in your journey of self-love. Start with small acts of kindness toward yourself. Practice gratitude, and forgive yourself for past mistakes. As you begin to love yourself more deeply, you will see how everything in your life changes. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. Remember, this is just the beginning of your journey, and I'm here for it with you every step of the way. Take care, and until next time, keep loving yourself.